Season 2 is kicking off or just kicked off, depending on what time you just watched this video. We got a ton of stuff to get into here. As Season 2 begins, these are the tips and strats of how to handle Season 2 for this week specifically and going beyond, what you should be doing, what you should be getting into, what you should be doing on a weekly basis, and everything else from Soul So Breezy. Let's check this video out real quick.
What's happening this week in Warcraft? Hey, it's Soul, and you can help support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for more WoW coverage, and catching me live when I'm streaming. Couple of hotfixes to get through before we start. There's been a round of nerfs to Cersei circlets focused on the procs that give extra stat bonuses. The intent is to make Season 2 rings with higher item level more effective than the ring bonuses in the long run. So if you do heroic raids or higher, the ring's days are numbered. And
let's just, again, I'm going to say it again. Cersei circlet, we all agree on waste of time. Wasted patch, completely throwaway patch, silly ass shit. We did it for nothing. Cersei circlet's like lasting for like just a couple weeks what into this thing, and then we're gonna throw it away. Great. Yeah, that was a silly grind. That whole thing was silly. The whole island was silly. I don't know. Blizzard just threw that in there to try to get us to this patch, and it felt like it took forever. But anyways, yeah, one ring to fool them all, basically.
And over in Undermine, the infinite farms from shipping and handling and scrap farming have been buffed a little bit, giving more rewards in exchange for more of your time played metrics. Profession treatises are now warbound, meaning it's much easier to order a bunch of these and trade them to alts to score another knowledge point per week. Finally, there's been quite a bit of last-minute class tuning, mostly affecting the numbers. Call me lazy, but I'm going to hold off on that this time because Season 2 begins this week. We're not really going to feel the impact of last week versus this week, seeing as how we haven't done any of the actual new stuff yet. So for now, ignorance is bliss, but we'll see how things change again next week.
He's right. I mean, if one thing's certain, it's going to change again. That's for sure.
All right, so Season 2 begins this week, and I'm going to crash course you through the important bits. There's going to be a maintenance on US realms from 7 a.m. Pacific to 11 a.m. We'll see how that goes, and I'll be streaming that morning to keep you company, to help you get that Twitch drop, feed on that copium, and in case you missed it, I have a poster-sized item level chart.
Yeah, this thing's insane, man. I love WoW players, how they make this shit. Yeah, a lot of stuff to look at. I mean, you could screenshot this thing. My face is going to be in your screenshot, though, so take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot of shit behind me, too. You can watch this video also in the link below and catch this.
Use as a reference guide to find the gear or the crest you want.
Good reference guide.
The link to that is in the video description, and it's yours to dork around with however you like. When realms are up, the Great Vault will be full of sadness. It's just going to have Season 1 rewards from the previous week. But for fun, you can see what happens when you try to pick up tokens of merit instead, and you just might still be disappointed, but hey, it can't hurt to try. The world boss in Undermine will be available. Knock it out for a guaranteed piece of warbound gear on the champion track.
We're going to do this for sure. As soon as this thing goes live, I forgot the world boss goes live.
And we don't know exactly what this means. The loot might be for your class and spec. It might not be, but the loot table is limited. You can get a neck or 2 pieces of gear per armor type. We also don't know if after the first kill, does the drop rate return to normal levels as we're used to, or does it dip down to 0? Knowing would tell.
I would guess it goes back down to normal, but I do know that now the first kill is increased. So the first kill is going to give you an increased chance it drops, and then after that, I think it would go down to normal.
Plus, if this is going to be an overall buff or nerf to world boss drops.
I believe it's supposed to be a buff.
Weekly outdoor activities for gear and keys be focused on Undermine if you want to collect more of the transmog sets, which, from the looks of it, are found by just getting the gear here. As a reminder, if you're not a fan of the drive system, you do not have to use drive. Just talk to the drive NPC and pick up what's called a caddy collar to let you access shipping and handling jobs without needing.
Yeah, I mentioned this briefly earlier this morning. You can get this caddy collar and just use regular mounts. Now, regular mounts can be way slower to get around. Like even me, I'll be honest, the drive vehicle system, it's a bit like erratic. I crash a lot. It's tough for me to use sometimes. It is what it is. It's just faster to get around. So best chance, your best thing to do is just use the damn vehicle. But if you really hate it that much, yes, you can get this little cell phone caddy collar thing to be able to do these daily things just by using your regular mount too.
To hop onto a vehicle.
Not daily things, I should say. It's this damn, this quest where you could do the little arrow shit, 9 quests, and then you do the 10th in the row.
The PvP season opens up, and what some folks might be interested in is this Artisans Consortium pamphlet. It should be a random drop after winning any kind of key PvP event. It starts a quest and will score you these prized gladiator heraldry items. These will let you craft, or maybe have someone craft for you, an item level 649 weapon or armor piece without needing a crafting spark, and that's pretty cool. And of course you can start earning conquest towards the cap, whether it's battlegrounds, the brawl, or camping for chests out in war mode. Speaking of, it looks like a crafting spark will be available this week, and stated in earlier blue post, the catalyst should be available
Nice, good
week
for
1,
crafters.
setting the stage for our gear planning every other week. It's a good idea to get a crafted piece made right away. Now that we're in Season 2, big crafting has matured, as in a player can make most kinds of items in a given profession as long as you provide high quality materials, of course. As for the catalyst, as usual, I say sit on these charges till maybe the week after, when you have more opportunities to choose what you want to turn into a tier piece, so be out there collecting gear where you can. If you're doing raids, here's what's up. Every raid difficulty is open,
This is
but
important.
with a twist, with only 3 bosses available. You need an item level of 606 to get in, and you'll be taking on Vexy and the Gear Grind.
He's talking about Raid Finder. All the bosses are available in normal, heroic, and mythic. It's just Raid Finder where things are locked.
The Cauldron of Carnage, and Rick Reverb. Notable loot from the first boss includes 2 trinkets shown on screen. One is a tank trinket that sort of does a taunt and deals damage, and an on-use DPS nuke. Notable loot from the second boss includes tier tokens for the glove slot and a mastery trinket with what looks to be a pretty hard-hitting nuke. And from the third boss, tier tokens for shoulders and a very hasty trinket. My advice for progression folk is to definitely run Raid Finder for earlier chances at tier. I suggest it for everyone to have a bit more gear to play with.
Sure.
Over in
Another reason why you should run Raid Finder maybe is if your group can't progress too far into normal, essentially what you want to do is at least kill about 5 bosses per week to get into the to get the renown up, right? You have that new renown track for the raid, and you can fill out that renown track no matter which level of the raid you're doing. So say maybe you were only able to kill 2 to 3 bosses on normal or heroic, whatever you're doing, you should go down a tier to finish out that that renown track for this week by doing Raid Finder. You get 3 bosses this week at least from Raid Finder, so that should set you up to at least get the first piece of renown from that track. And you're going to want to do that every week because it's 20 weeks. Right, it's time gated, so you're going to want to try to keep up with it, and that way you eventually get the T-Rex mount, and you get all the raid buffs and everything else, and the power increases and everything that comes from the renown track.
To have a bit more gear to play with. Over in Dungeon and Mythic Plus World, the full season opens up, meaning you have the new lineup to work with.
That's
you can
true.
Queue up for heroic, you can sign up.
There's also transmog to get from it. That's a good point, Kale.
For the weekly Mythic Zeros, and for Mythic Plus, make sure you have a triple AOTC and an item level of 692. I'm just kidding. Running zeros, especially if you have a static group, is a great way of stacking up some early champion gear. If you're pugging, you can start at 2s for champion gear as well, and a good goal to keep in mind would be to reach plus 6s and 7s. 6s can drop hero gear at the end of a run, and you're only dealing with the timer and the Xalatath affix, whatever that is, while 7s jump up in difficulty with the fortified or tyrannical affix. However,
gives
this
you
is where you
gilded
can
crests.
start earning gilded crests.
Yeah, that's why 7s
and
are
those move
important.
into Season 2 with cool rewards starting at Tier 4, and as far as we know, you'll have to complete tiers with lives remaining to progress to the next one. It's just like last season.
Yeah.
You'll first want to stop by the Delve headquarters in Dornigal for an intro quest and a coffer key to start with. Go as high as you can, and then start using keys on Bountiful Delves. Tier 7 and 8 are good spots to try reaching. 7s are where you start earning champion gear from Bountiful Chests, and 8s will credit you towards hero gear from the Great Vault next week. Climb all the way to 11s if you want to go for Gilded Crests. You can farm up to 21 Gilded per week, and up to 10 more if you use a Delver's Bounty at Tier 11. And if you're at this level, you can probably at least take on the easier version of the new Delve boss maybe this week. So that's the
he's talking about Underpin. And also for delves, as I mentioned before, if you're doing 4 bountiful delves per day, the filling out of that little Delver's bar will take you about 5 weeks, and I think it was 5 weeks in one day if you're using a coffer key at the end of each one, and 5 weeks and 6 days if you're not using a coffer key at the end of each one. But you're going to want to do 4 bountiful delves per day if you want to fill out that bar quickly. Now, filling out the bar will just give you all of the different things for your Delver's Gobtrotter mount, but it'll also give you some good catch-up gear for your alts. I think it's a bunch of like 626 gear, something like that. But filling that out, you could do it passively, or you can just butt run that shit 4 per day.
Version of the new Delve boss maybe this week. So that's the crash course of what you can do, but here I'm going to describe what exactly I'm going to do as an example. First, I'm going to wait for the maintenance to end, of course. When I log in, I'll pick up the weeklies, do the Delve intro quest, and head over to Undermine for the world boss. Then I'll knock out weeklies in the zone while queuing up for a battleground or two. Making the early crafted gear with PvP materials would be nice, but it's not like a huge deal, because I'll be heading into normal raids that evening. Once that's done, I'll be doing my bread and butter, Delves. I'm going to progress to 8s through non-bountiful Delves, and then I'll run tiers 8 through 11 as bountiful Delves for the rewards. I'm making some big assumptions.
That's true. You're going to want to save the Bountiful Delves for tier 8, right? Because that gives the best possible, what's it called, gear from the end of the Bountiful Delve, getting the crests and shit like that, and the gear. Remember, you can get 21 gilded crests from Bountiful Delves this time around.
Able to do
plus 8 or higher
early, but if I'm running short on time due to the raid, I'll at least clear 8s for the champion gear and try going for 11s later in the week. At some point during all this, I'll probably have found a half spark to turn in for
as far as the seasonal boss, the Underpin, that's his name. Semi, to answer your question, nobody knows what his fight is like or anything yet. Nobody's gotten a preview of it, so we're going to see what it's like starting today after the seasonal reset, if anybody actually goes in there and does
for a full crafting spark, but I'm probably going to save it for next week when I hope I'll have earned enough gilded crest to craft my first myth piece. As soon as I get that half spark though, I'll assemble it right away, because I know I'm going to be Valorstone capped while doing all this stuff. If I still have time, I'll do some PvP to get the quest for those PvP crafting materials, while I hang out in Dornagal, hopefully fulfilling crafting orders, and then it's raid time. It's a tradition of mine for my first experience in a new raid be with the guild, so Raid Finder is going to be later in the week. At some point, I'm going to complete the Paragon quest to see what happens. Like, what season stuff will I get? Like, will I get a Season 2 raiding Echo? I'm going to hold off on that until I see reports of what results other people are getting. It might be worth waiting in case people complain over what they get, and then Blizzard puts in some fix, and then I can come out with some additional goodies. This isn't a big deal one way or another. I'm just not going to rush to turn these in.
Also, by the way, if you want to fill out, just a quick tidbit, as I said this morning, you want to fill out your cartels of Undermine as quickly as possible, or fill out your specific reputations, actually, as quickly as possible for each cartel. You want to switch your cartel at the reset. Now, as I said before, if you're just chasing a specific item, you can do that. It's not a big deal. Chasing your Noggin Fog or Elixir or whatever, and you want to stick with that, you can continue to do that. But if your goal is to maximize how quickly you fill out all the reputations, all 4 reputations for the cartels, your best bet is to switch the cartel at every reset, because that will give you the 2 more quests to possibly do than your previous week, because that each one has its own quests that you can do for world quests. And some of them don't reset at the reset, so you're going to want to switch it up every week to be able to maximize it. But you don't have to do that. Eventually you'll get it all anyways.
I'm just not going to rush.
Dark Moon Fair too, that's right.
And what else is happening this week? Dark Moon Fair is in town, so those of you who've been waiting, it's time to play the game. Pick up the rep bonus and slam everything in Undermine for the extra rep, and be sure to knock out those profession quests
Go ride
for
the ride.
knowledge points.
I did not pre-watch
bonus event is in this week, and this time around, the Americas realms will be blessed with Super Squirt Day coming this Saturday.
What Super
8th.
what day? Super Squirt. I'll just let that one go.
Great time for leveling those pets you've been collecting lately. Meanwhile, the Battleground bonus event is in play, Cooking Impossible is the brawl, and over in Mythic Plus World, we don't know what's going on, but you're going to dive in anyway. Best of luck, and we'll talk about the Hotfixes next week. That should just about wrap up everything happening. I expect over in Blizzard Land, it's all hands on deck to ensure a smooth launch, but before we know it, they'll dump a bunch of 11.1.5 news on us. That's a later thing though. Today, let's get ready for the season, and I'll see you in game. Be sure to like the video, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. The trading post just updated, so you know what comes next. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
That's right. Oh god, we got one of these again.
Tender is my breakfast. Tender's what I breathe.
I didn't go pick up my trader's tender yet. I should go do that.
Tender's running through my veins. Tender's both my pleasure and pain. It's like coffee. Tender's in my cup.
I gotta go click the treasure box. I didn't do that yet.
Check me on my badass broomstick mount. Got my tender thing a mama can count on.
I have a lot of tender. Nice video from Soul So Breezy. Yeah, guys, ton of stuff to do this week. This is really the launch of the patch, let's be honest. Season 2 kicking off is the most exciting time of any patch, is when the new season kicks off. Raid, Mythic Plus, all the shit, PvP. Get in there, get it done. Nice video.